So I platinumed Resident Evil 7. Now, you guys should know I have played this game before. I have all the achievements on Xbox, not including the DLC, so I went in with some good confidence I could do it again, although Madhouse shortly changed that, but we'll get into that later on. I've also played this game on PlayStation before, as you can see by these few trophies I have here, but I got those when messing around with PSVR and I didn't actually make any real progress into the game. However, for the sake of consistency and because I don't really have a choice, I'm going to start again from the beginning and show you what I would have done in order to get those trophies. So with all that out of the way, let's get into this platinum trophy. Now, in order to get this platinum, I'm going to need to do a minimum of 3 playthroughs. Once on normal, getting all of the collectibles and collecting nearly all the miscellaneous and missable trophies. Then 1 playthrough on easy, aiming to speedrun the game by completing it within 4 hours for that trophy, as well as using the item box only 3 times, and there's really only 3 times we have to use it throughout the game. And without healing myself no more than 3 times for another 2 trophies, which I end up just using steroids to heal myself anyway, so that wasn't really an issue. Then we are going to do our final playthrough on Madhouse difficulty, as that will get us our trophy for completing it, and we are going to collect all of the antique coins which are place difficulty, and that will also get us one of our final trophies as well. So, kicking off this game, we get a cutscene which shows a clip presumably being recorded and sent to Ethan from his wife Mia, who has been missing for 3 years with seemingly no explanation, although he never actually received this and gets some basic email instead. However, it starts off with a nice video telling him she can't wait to come home to her loving husband, before taking a dark turn and showing another clip where she tells him to stay away, which probably would have been the better option, but our man Ethan, he wanted some closure and wanted to find out what happened, so he drives all the way out to Louisiana where she was last seen. Upon getting out of the car and taking control of Ethan for the first time, we are greeted with a not at all creepy dirt path in front of us, as well as our first trophy. Following the path around, we get our first glimpse at part of the Baker house that we're going to be spending a lot of time in, as well as get a lovely chance to take in all of the beautiful scenery that's been scattered around. Heading on a little further, we drop down this ledge and we come across presumably Mia's handbag, as it has her driver's license in it, but picking this up will get us our second trophy of the game. And a few seconds later, if we head up into the guest house and turn around after heading through the second door, we can close it for our third trophy of the game. After exploring part of the guest house and skipping on the food that was left for me, we come across a videotape. Now we need to collect and watch all 4 of these throughout the game in order to get another trophy, and I believe there are 2 other trophies also linked to 2 of these videotapes, but they are mostly straightforward and quick to complete, so we shouldn't have any issues with them. Heading downstairs into the living room, we come across a TV and decide to see if the videotape we picked up was actually a good movie. Spoiler alert, it wasn't. However, we did take the opportunity to pick up a lockpick and open our first locked drawer for our 4th trophy of the game. At this point, Andre decides he wants to Rambo it alone and goes missing, so we end up going to look for him. We come across a secret door and our boy Clancy here wasn't prepared for what he was about to see. After taking control of Ethan again, we head into the kitchen, and that drawer that we picked in the VHS, well, that's now open and we can collect our first of 18 antique coins, which will get us another trophy later down the line. Next, we decide to follow where the tape led us and head down into what seems to be the basement. It's filthy and there's some questionable things in the water, but after a little bit of exploring, we come across some bolt cutters which will really come in handy later, and we also find Mia, and it's safe to say that after 3 years, something isn't right, because 5 minutes later, she's calling another man daddy and she wants to kill me. Bless her. After showing her who's the boss, we get interrupted with a phone call. We answer it, and at this point, I just want to go home. I start to head towards the exit where Mia pops out and decides she's going to take my hand instead. At this point, Ethan and I have had enough. We pick up our little buddy, head upstairs into the attic and come across a gun and some ammo, which we use to go to town on Mia. However, before that, I take the opportunity to use my hands to shield myself from damage. because that works against a literal chainsaw. But it does mean we get to survive, and it nabs our 5th trophy of the game, so we'll let it slide. Anyway, after putting Mia down, we must have really impressed Jack, because he now makes an appearance and finally welcomes us to the family. This also gets us our 6th trophy. After waking back up, we get our first look at the Baker family, and immediately something's off. They went out of their way to prepare this meal for us, and you don't do that for free. However, due to being knocked out, we must have turned vegetarian when we woke up, and there's a lot of different unidentifiable meats, so we politely declined to eat it, which doesn't leave them impressed. But before they got to cook me and eat me later, we are thankfully saved by the bell and use this chance to escape. We end up finding the key and also finding Jack, but luckily the adrenaline kicked in and we managed to lose him relatively quickly. Soon after, Zoe gives us another call, and eventually I managed to finesse an deputy of his pocket knife. However, it turned out 10 seconds later, Jack was going to show back up and I was going to be getting his gun too. I make a dash for the keys and get into my car, but Jack's athletic ability allowed him to jump on my roof and take me for a drive instead. We crashed, I shot him, and then he shot himself. Now, with Jack gone, we pick up an elaborate key, destroy our first Mr. Everywhere statue for another trophy, and then proceed deeper into the main house. Now we are in the main house, our main objective is to escape. To do this, I need to collect 3 dog heads scattered around the house, but before I go about finding them, I head over to this plinth puzzle and place the wrong item on there in order to unlock our next trophy. Nice try. After getting that trophy, I begin the search for the dog heads, and while doing that we find our second videotape labelled Mia. So I stick it in the TV, and our aim in this tape is to get through the old house without being seen by Marguerite for the Can't Catch Me trophy. Now this tape is slightly long, but it is ridiculously easy to do, and we did get the missable trophy first try. After completing the tape, finding Jack and running away, we end up finding some psychostimulants and we use them in order to unlock our next trophy. A little while later, we eventually find ourselves downstairs in the basement and eventually make our way to its dissection room. In here, we collect the key to escape, but Jack ends up getting us with a surprise kick and we fall down into a gated off area for our second boss fight with him. During the fight, I got the missable trophy Duck If You Love Life for ducking under one of his attacks. And with a few swings later and some expert dodging on my part, we emerged victorious. Now that Jack was dealt with, I quickly made a run for the front door and headed outside to unlock the You Ain't Getting Away trophy. Next up, we headed over to the old house where we got the opportunity to clean up a few of the miscellaneous trophies in the game. First up, we used our knife and killed a bug to get the Things Got Personal trophy. I quickly ran to the safe room and picked up a backpack for the In the Bag trophy. And then we used our knife to clear some spiders off of a cupboard door in order to get the ///// trophy. And a while later, I ended up encountering Marguerite, and I used this opportunity to clear another 2 trophies off of the list. That being the Less is More trophy for hitting 2 enemies with 1 shot, and also the Back Off Mrs. B trophy for making Marguerite run away. With those out of the way, it was time for our final fight with Marguerite. During this fight for a missable trophy, I needed to shoot Marguerite as she was jumping towards me, which was easier said than done, and it did require me having to restart a couple of times just because I ended up wasting so much ammo and using so many healing stuff and just not being able to shoot her that it just wasn't worth carrying on at that point. After a couple of retries, we went in and we wasn't messing about this time, and with a few shotgun blasts later, we finally put Marguerite to rest. This allowed us to then go pick up the D-Series arm and leave the old house to get the Gravel Out the Truth trophy. Next, we end up getting a phone call from Lucas telling us he's got Mia and Zoe, and the only way to get to him and to make the cure is to head back into the house and pick up the 2 keycards, one which is located in the basement and one which is located upstairs in the attic. While I'm up in the attic, I also find the 3rd tape that we need, and then after making sure I've looted everything, we head back to a TV and stick the tape in. Now, our objective for this next trophy is to complete the happy birthday tape within 5 minutes. This involves us repairing the wind-up doll to get the word loser cut into our arm as a permanent reminder of what we really are, and then we eventually turn off the water, light the birthday cake before swiftly getting char grilled. The tape ends and we unlock our next trophy. We then head into Lucas's facility, watch a lengthy video left by him and proceed to make our way through rooms filled with tripwires as well as encountering numerous enemies along the way. We do, however though, manage to find some supplements. Now we can finally make some Euro rounds for our last craftable item of the game, and this nets us the 1st place at the science fair trophy. We cheat Lucas's puzzle, he tries to blow us up, he escapes, and then shortly after we encounter Jack again for our final boss fight with him. And I don't know about you, but he definitely seems a little bit different than before. We finally get rid of Jack, but in order to do that we needed to use one of the serums. This meant there was only one left, and I was now left with a choice. Do I pick Zoe, who was really just an innocent woman and a victim of Evie? Or do I choose my wife, Mia? Now, we do have to do both options for their respective trophy, but for now we choose Mia for the true ending and we set off escaping the Baker home for our next trophy, You Better Start Running. Now, in case you didn't realise, the escape didn't go so well. We end up waking up as Mia and start making our way into the bowels of the wrecked ship. We start having visions and we eventually come across Evelyn, and she ends up leading us to the top of the ship and asks us to watch a tape, which also happens to be the last one we need, so there's no way on earth am I saying no. We put the tape in the TV and unlock the trophy, Be Kind, Please Rewind. In the tape, we find out Evelyn is vomiting at an alarming rate and that it is way more in excess of her body mass, which is the reason why there is mould everywhere and it is able to spread so quickly. So now, we have to go and stop her. Soon, we find Evelyn, but at this point, the ship crashes, Mia gets thrown into the water below, and the tape ends. A little while later, while we were trying to find Ethan, we get our hands on some remote bombs and we were now able to get the trophy, That's a Spicy Meatball. And shortly after that, we finally get our last antique coin in normal mode for the Pelicans in Your Pocket trophy. We eventually find Ethan, but at this point Evie is beginning to take control of Mia. So she fights her off for as long as she can and manages to push us outside the ship in order to save us. We were heartbroken at first, but then a trophy popped very shortly after, so it was soon forgotten. Now it was time to head down into the salt mines and create the E-necrotoxin in order to put a stop to Evelyn for good. While making our way through the mines, we pick up our final file of the game, unlocking the Devil is in the Details trophy. And after making our way through a decent amount of enemies, we finally come across our final Mr. Everywhere, unlocking the trophy Mr. Nowhere. At this point, all that was left on our first playthrough was to kill Evelyn and finish the game, and with a few swift shots from Albert, we finally ended Evelyn and her control. We unlocked 2 trophies for completing it on normal and easy, and we also unlocked the trophy for completing ending A. Now our first playthrough was done, it was time to move on to the speedrun, which we would be completing on easy difficulty, and during this run we will also be unlocking the trophy for completing ending B, for using an item box no more than 3 times, as well as a trophy for using first aid no more than 3 times. I'm going to save you guys time of watching me basically do everything again, but the run was really quite simple and easy to do. Healing wasn't an issue. We had 3 heals which we could use throughout the game, but we didn't actually use a single one, as getting through the regular enemies is easy, and instead I just relied on using steroids, which are usually reserved for the boss fights. And that's because they give you more max health, but at the same time they heal you to full health as well, and I don't believe they count towards the trophy. And for opening the stash box, there were only 3 times in the game where it was basically a necessity to open the stash box. Once when we go into Lucas's puzzle where we have to deposit all of our stuff. Once when we come out where we obviously need to take stuff back out. And then once when we escape the ship when we need to get ourselves back out again, ready for the final part of the game. We killed Evelyn for a second time, unlocking the Just Get Me Out of Here trophy, the Resources Manager trophy, the Walk It Off trophy, as well as the trophy for completing Ending B. And our total time to completion was 2 hours, 24 minutes and 47 seconds. Now all that was left to do for the Platinum Trophy was Madhouse difficulty. During this run I would also be collecting all of the antique coins, many of which have different spawn points than in the previous 2 difficulties. But thanks to the numerous unlocks we unlocked for doing the previous 2 playthroughs, Madhouse was relatively stress-free and finding the antique coins was pretty easy. One of the bonuses that we unlocked was the circular saw. Now this thing was an absolute powerhouse and made most enemies and in fact most boss fights a relatively stress-free experience. Towards the end of our Madhouse run we pick up our final antique coin outside of the salt mine, which unlocks the Mad Pelicans trophy. And with nothing but Evelyn standing in our way, we took the final fight to her, giving her everything we got until we bested her once more, and we completed the game one last time. Madhouse difficulty was complete, giving us the Who's Your Daddy trophy, and with that followed one of the most beautiful sights in the world, the Biosplattered Platinum trophy. And that was the end of our journey. I will say I thoroughly enjoyed playing through this game again. I hadn't played Resident Evil for a while at this point as well, so it was nice to actually jump back into its universe, and for anyone that hasn't even played this game before, I would strongly recommend picking it up and playing it, especially if the platform that you're playing on is offering it as part of a library of games in its subscription. Then it's pretty much a no-brainer. Pick it up, give it a go, I promise you, you will enjoy it. And with that, I hope you all enjoyed the video. If you did, please make sure to show your support, hit that like button, sound off in the comments, let me know what you think of Resident Evil 7. Is it a game you've platinumed? And of course, if you'd like to see more videos like this, then make sure you hit that subscribe button, turn notifications on, and I'll see you all in the next video.